All right, welcome back to this series where we are going through a CI workflow for a Node.js application. Essentially, what we're doing is we've got a Node.js application, small API really, that we are going to dockerize in a GitHub Actions pipeline and then push that through to ECR. In the previous video, if you missed that, that's where we set up essentially the environment and just taking you through what's required for this to work. In this video, that's when we're going to jump in and do the Node.js good stuff, right? So I'm going to go into VS Code here, and then I'll clear the the terminal. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the npm init command, and I'll say -y so that I just don't have to fill in the package .json information essentially. Okay, cool. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to set up the file structure. So I'm going to have something called an src folder, and then I'm going to, outside of that folder, I'm going to have a Docker file. This is obviously, we're going to have the Docker commands here that will then package our application. I'm also going to have a .getignore file over here, and that should be fine. So now what I'm going to do is in the src folder, I'm going to have an app.json file. Now this is an Express API, so let me just cancel that. And so obviously we'll need Express. And so in order to do that, what we're going to have to do is install Express.js. And so that means I'm going to run the npm install Express command, and that's pretty much it. We are going to do tests as well, so we can always do this another time, but I'm gonna install a package called chai, and that's going to allow us to do tests when we get to that step. So let's just give it a second, couple of seconds actually. While that's happening, I think what I'm going to do is, because we can do this, is so long I'm going to import Express from Express. Right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a variable called port, and it's going to get the port for the application from the environment variables. If it's not there, we'll just run it on port 3000. And then I'm going to have const app, which will essentially initialize Express. Once Express is initialized, we're just going to do a simple route where we're going to have a simple response. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say res .send, and all we'll say is API running, I'll say in dev. I'll put in here okay, cool. What I'm going to do is for that variable, I'm going to have an environment. So what I'm going to do is in the process again .v, we'll get the node environment. If it's not there, we'll just run it in dev. In fact, let's complete our thought there. Development. Cool. And then as normal in any Node.js application, we'll then listen to a port. Listen on a port which we've said is 3000 or whatever's passed into the application, and then we'll just console.log server running on port, right, which is a variable there. And really that's all we're doing. Outside of this src, I'll have one called tests, and then we'll do that a bit later. Okay, but for now, what we want to do then is we're going to essentially run this, right? So we're not going to do anything in the package.json. I'm not going to do anything there for now. Or what we can do is just we can have one called start, and then in fact let's just call it dev. I think that makes much more sense. And in there I'll just say we'll run the app.json file. So if I run npm dev here, then it'll run the application. Okay, let's just test that out. Then once we're done here, sorry man, yes, that's what I meant, thank you so much. Then once we get it running, then we're going to work on building the Docker image essentially. Okay, cool. Import outside of a module. Okay, cool. We'll just have to change that. We'll have to make a change here quickly. What's the change again? Let me just think. It actually type. It's type, sorry. So we'll say type module. Okay, cool. Let's try it again. npm run dev. Okay, hopefully no issues this time. Okay, while that's running, we are going to work on the Docker file. So with Docker, we're gonna be using the Node 19 base image. It'll be Alpine, meaning the most slimmest version. And then I'm not gonna pass it. I don't want to pass it any variables, but what I'm going to do is we're going to choose a work directory and we'll call it app. We'll copy the package.json file and we'll copy it into our working directory. Then we'll run npm install to install all of the packages. And then once we've installed all of the packages, we'll then copy the file here, our entry file, and then we are exposing at least initially port 3000, and then we'll run the command node, and inside of there we'll run JS. That's it. We've dockerized. This will dockerize our application. Now we could test this here. We could test this here right now, and essentially, I don't know if my daemon is on, but I think let's save the testing. We'll save the testing for the next video. So yeah, in this video, that's all we needed to do, and so in the next one, I'm going to start building the pipeline, and then push things to ECR essentially. We'll also do the test to see if our Docker commands are actually doing things correctly, because I can already see they're not. Just get rid of that. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.